Hey guys, glad to stop by. So, today, if you caught yesterday's video, you know what we're making, our dinner video, and you haven't caught it yet, go check it out. It's a phenomenal dish. But today we're gonna make a tiramisu cheesecake. Now, that being said, it sounds fantastic. I mean, don't get me wrong. It sounds amazing. I like everything that's in it. I actually make something similar to this, but not really. I'll explain as we go. But I'm not a huge fan, for the most part, of no-bake cheesecakes, and this is a no-bake cheesecake. It is also an eggless cheesecake, per request of a decadent dessert that didn't have eggs. You know, one of our people here in our neighborhood have somebody in their family or a friend, they didn't specify which, but they have a person who has egg allergies, and they really wanted to have a recipe that didn't have egg in it. I looked through a million recipes that didn't have eggs, and this one sounded the most interesting. I mean, hands down, I like tiramisu, basically. So I think we'll be okay with it. Plus, like I said, there's some nuances to this cheesecake that make it, what I believe is going to be really good, not your standard no-bake cheesecake. So, I mean, we'll find out, you know, for sure. If you are new to my channel and this is your first video, welcome. Hope you get something out of this video. Maybe check out some of the other ones. If you are returning or one of our several new subscribers, welcome back and thank you. I'm glad to see you came back again. I always look forward to you guys stopping by. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. That's important. Keeps us out in the algorithm, helps our neighborhood to grow, right? Yeah, it keeps us relevant in the rather large world of YouTube. Comments are always welcomed. The only thing I ever ask is be polite. You know, think before you type. If you do comment, I respond to every comment, good, bad, or indifferent. If you take the time to comment, I'm going to take the time to respond. You know, and I think that's important. I will give you all your measurements in cups, tablespoons, teaspoons. I will also give you your measurements in milliliters and grams. That way, no matter where you're at or who you are, you can play along. And if anybody ever knows of a different type of measurement, let me know. I'll try to work it in. And even if I do forget a gram or milliliter while we're baking it, it will always be down in the description and below. I always put the ingredients list and the recipe down below. So that being said, why don't we head on down to the counter and we'll get started baking. All right, hold on for me one second, or not baking in this case. Hold on for me 1 second. All right, we're down here at the counter. So first thing we need to do is build our crust, right? So I have a 9-inch springform pan right here, and if you don't know what a springform pan is, I also have glow on. Is a springform pan is a 2-piece pan that comes apart like such. It has a thing on there, and this acts like a spring to go tightly around the bottom. These are primarily used for cheesecakes, and what they do is they allowed you to build your cheesecake, because there's no way to really get a cheesecake out without just covering this whole thing in parchment paper and lifting it out in the long run. It's a lot of work. I think springform pans are a lot easier. It's not impossible if you don't have one, it's just easier. And they're inexpensive if you don't have one. I recommend getting one, because cheesecakes are actually really fun to make. So, 9-inch springform pan. Next thing we need to do is, in a bowl, a good medium-sized bowl, I have the equivalent of 30 Oreo cookies. You can use any chocolate sandwich cookie of your choice. I just prefer Oreo. But if there is one you prefer, grab it, run with it, go, because that will be the one that you like the best, right? And to my 30 Oreo cookies, 344 grams worth of chocolate sandwich cookies, I have a half a teaspoon, 1 gram of espresso powder. That smells amazingly good. And it's basically just instant espresso. But you can find it most grocery stores. I know they carry it here in Newark, and Newark's a smaller town that's very limited on what they carry. So I would imagine that most big grocery stores around your town carry it too. And then to those 2 items, I am going to add 7 tablespoons, 98 grams worth of unsalted butter. And I've got it melted, so that way we can just basically mix this all together. Now, when you do your Oreos, you can do them a couple different ways. If you have a food processor, and this is the way I do it, I just simply put them in a food processor and process them until they're fine crumb. Now, if you don't, you can put it in a freezer bag or a baggie of your choice, and beat them pretty solid with a meat mallet or a rolling pin or whatever you have that you like to take your aggression out with, and just beat them into a fine crumb. But then after you do that, and we get them all mixed together, we're looking for something that you can squeeze together and it holds like that, just like that right there. And when you squeeze it, nothing comes out. No butter or anything like that. But if you squeeze it and it falls right back apart, then you don't have quite enough butter yet, but you want to make sure it's all coated. So now that we've got that mixed together, we're going to go ahead and grab our pan, and we're going to put our Oreos in our springform pan, because this is going to be our crust, right? Oh, as I go dropping some on the counter, and my counter's clean before anybody asks. So now I'm going to press these in the bottom of the pan, right? And I'm going to take them up the side of the pan about a 1/2 inch to an inch, a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch at any rate. And I'm going to cover the pan, but I'm going to press them down in firmly. All right, so we've got that pressed in. That little bit off my thumb there. So now all we have to do is, I'll show it to you real quick. See how I've got it going up the side just a little bit there? Not a whole lot, but I mean, you can take it up as high as you like. I just think 1/2 inch to 3/4 is really good. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in the fridge or in the freezer, and we can go ahead and get started making our filling. All right, hold on for me 1 second. All right, so got the crust in the freezer, getting cold, right? Getting frozen. Which doesn't take long. It takes about 10 minutes. Butter usually, even at its warmest, only takes about 10 minutes in the freezer and it's solid as a rock again, which is what we're trying to achieve with that. We're gonna make it hard again and make it a crust. So, meanwhile, with my stand mixer, or you can use a hand mixer, either one, we are going to make our filling. So the first thing we're gonna need is some cream cheese. And I have got a little over 2.5 blocks here. And I'll tell you why here in a second. It is a total of 619 grams. The original recipe calls for 20 ounces, which is 2.5 blocks. But it calls for 10 ounces of a secret ingredient that only comes in an 8-ounce container around here. And that is Mascarpone cheese. And you're like, what? And it's an absolutely wonderful cheese. Comes in a wonderful little dish. Drain the water off of it like sour cream. But it's Balinese. It's a Balinese soft cheese. I mean, and it's soft like cream cheese, but it has the most amazing flavor to it. If you check out my carrot cake video, the icing that's on it, this is it. It's cream cheese and mascarpone cheese combined together, and it makes the most wonderful icing for a cake. So I can't imagine that it doesn't work well as a filling for a tiramisu cheesecake, no bake cheesecake. That's what sold me on it, and thought, ooh, I'm gonna like this one. So we've got our 22 ounces of cream cheese instead of 20 ounces like the original recipe called for. And I've got my 8 ounces of mascarpone instead of the 10 ounces that the original recipe called for, because I didn't really want to. Mascarpone is not a cheap cheese. I mean, it's not expensive, but it's not cheap. And to buy another container to get just a little bit out of it just didn't seem economical to me, so to speak. So, but I mean, if you can find a 10-ounce container, it would be 20 ounces or 20 grams of or 20 ounces of cream cheese and 10 ounces of mascarpone. So we've got that in there, and we're literally going to put all our ingredients together at once. So the next thing we need to do, which that is a total of 619 grams of sour cream, or of cream cheese, and 226 grams of mascarpone. And I will have all this down in the description below, so that way, as I fumble over my words, I make sure you get it right. So the next thing we're going to put in here is 1/3 of a cup, 82 grams of sour cream. We're going to go ahead and get that in there, like such. I found it really weird that we're not mixing anything in between, but we're not putting any egg in this, so we don't have to watch how long we mix it for. We can mix this thing all day and it's not going to hurt it. And then the next thing we're going to put in is kind of a secret ingredient. It's going to help give it its firmness, right? And that is pudding. It's instant pudding. You know, you don't want the stovetop type instant. And it's just vanilla. Instant vanilla pudding is 2 tablespoons, 30 grams worth of instant pudding. So we'll go ahead and get that in there. And then we're going to add 1 1/4 cup, no, 1 1/3 cup, 161 grams of powdered sugar or confectioner sugar, depending on who you are, where you live. Go ahead and throw that in there. You know, and you can sift it if you'd like. I don't sift mine unless the recipe calls for it. But if you have big clumps in it, you might want to consider it. But for the most part, I don't ever sift my powdered sugar. I'm sure that somebody would think that's a sacrilege. Last ingredient to put in here, 2 teaspoons, 8 grams of vanilla extract. And we go ahead and get that in there. And then all we're going to do is we're going to mix this on low at first. As you can see, it's popping powdered sugar everywhere. Once the powdered sugar is incorporated like it is now, we'll go ahead and kick it up to a medium, and we're going to let this go until everything is completely combined and smooth. Okay, so before I forget and go any further, we need to add some heavy whipping cream in here. And it has to be cold, right? And what that's going to do is it's going to help give it its lift and its thickness and to go well with that vanilla pudding. So, and it was 2 cups. I'm sorry, 1 1/4 cup, 300 milliliters. So 1 3/4 cup, 300 milliliters, and then we'll continue to mix this until it's smooth. All right, so we've got our filling mixed, and there we are. Yeah, it's got like a mashed potato consistency. It's dense. I mean, remember, we put instant pudding in there, so it's going to thicken it up and help stabilize it. And that's the way, you want it to be. All right, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to take about 1/3 of this filling, and we're going to put it in our cake pan that's, got our nicely frozen base, like such. And then we will smooth it out. Yeah, so it's nice and even and smooth along the bottom. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is I have got 1 cup, 240 milliliters of expresso coffee right here. And to this, I'm going to add, and this is completely optional, but it's 1 tablespoon, 15 milliliters of Kahlua, which is a coffee liqueur. It's an alcohol. And like I said, that is completely optional. So, but it's in a traditional tiramisu, I believe, at least all the ones I've ever had. So now I've got some ladyfingers. Well, these are ladyfinger substitutes. I couldn't find any ladyfingers here in town, so I'm using Biscoffs, which are really close to a ladyfinger cookie. And what we would want to do with our ladyfingers is we're going to take them and we're going to put them down in our espresso and count to 1. You don't want to leave them in there much more than a second. They'll soak too much up and they'll start falling apart. So do 1, pull it out, set it down, and you're going to need about 10 lady fingers, or enough to at least make a row is what we're looking to do. Okay, so we got our, what would be our lady fingers in right there. See, now we've got our crust at the bottom, the Oreos. We've got our first part of our filling on there, and then we've got our lady fingers, or in my case, lady finger substitutes, that have been dipped in espresso and Kahlua, or just espresso, or just regular coffee if that's what you like. To that, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the rest of our filling and grab a piping bag, And I'm gonna go ahead and put my filling in the piping bag. May not all fit at once, but that's all right. We can always refill it, right? All right, so we got some more of our filling in our piping bag, and I've just got a nice star tip on there, but you could use any kind of tip you like, you know, or I mean, you don't have to if you're just wanting to. You just put the filling back on top. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and star tip this all the way around until I get all my icing or all my filling on top of these. All right, we got the rest of our filling put on there, with our piping bag for decorative purposes, and there we are. So what am I going to do now? So now I am simply going to take this. I am going to put it in the fridge for about an hour to let it harden a little bit. Then I'm going to cover it with plastic wrap. Then I'm going to let it sit in there for about another 4 hours. Idealistically overnight, but realistically it's going to be about 4 to 6 hours, because we're going to want to eat this, I'm sure, sometime this evening. And I may or may not have gotten some of the filling on my fingertips while I was piping it on there, and it may or may not be just amazing. But anyhow, I'm going to put this in the fridge, and when I come back after a second, or 4 to 6 hours in my case, we will go ahead and dust the top with some cocoa and try a piece. All right, I'll see you here in a second. All right, now that we've got it out of the pan and onto a plate, so to speak, all that's left to do is throw some powdered chocolate on it, some cocoa powder on it. But I mean, didn't that turn out just delightful? I think it did. It's good enough for the in-laws, right? Good enough for company. So we'll go ahead and get our cocoa powder, and I'm just using regular unsweetened cocoa powder. I want to say the original recipe they used Dutch process, but I didn't have any, and everything I've been making as of late seems to have just regular unsweetened cocoa powder in it. So I didn't really want to go out and get Dutch just for the top, but that's all right. It's gonna be good all the same. So we'll go ahead and get this sprinkled on top to give it a nice finished look. Powder's on, right? There is our finished uncut cheesecake, and as you can now tell, it is noon, and the alarms are going off. It just means that if there's a tornado coming, our tornado warning system is going to work. Oddly enough, I did a video a while back where that went off, and there were actually some people that didn't know that was a thing. That they've never heard that before. I thought that was crazy because we grew up with the tornado warnings going off every Wednesday at noon. But let me go ahead and get this cut, and then we can try it. All right, so we got our piece cut out. I think we are going to be a winner chicken dinner, so to speak. That looks absolutely awesome. I mean, it really did cut clean, just like it should, basically. Yeah, right there we are. I know, right? It looks amazing. So now all we have left to do is try it, right? It looks amazing. It looks, well, I can't say the kitchen smells amazing because it doesn't. We didn't bake anything, but it looks great. So now all we have to do is just try this and see, is it live up to expectation? So we'll go ahead and get that first bite on there. Let me tell you something. Holy cannoli. Or in this case, tiramisu. Huh. Alright, so let's just start with the fact that, hey, I gotta have another bite. That is really, 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 really good. Alright, let's start with the fact I don't like no-bake cheesecakes. Mostly because up until this very, very second, I have never had a no-bake cheesecake that didn't taste like just cream cheese. And that was pretty much it. And when I saw this had the mascarpone cheese in it with it, I thought, oh, here we go. This is interesting. Only because I've had it in icing form on my carrot cake. That's probably the best thing I've had in forever. It took no time to make. That is, oh my gosh, creamy, smooth, soft, just like tiramisu. In flavor, and that center line with the cookies. Yeah, give this a try. You are not going to be disappointed, not by any stretch of the imagination. That is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. I am so excited to finish eating this piece once we get done here, and maybe have another piece. It's going to have to leave the house. It's that good. But let me know if you do give this a try, because I'm here to tell you, you're not going to be disappointed, and you'll be able to invite friends over and keep them for the rest of your life because it's that good. They're going to think you're amazing. Of course you are amazing, and we know that, but you're going to reiterate it with something that took you no time to make, right? If you do try this, let me know. Let me know down in the comments below. Find me on Facebook, Instagram. You know, like I said, I believe in yesterday's video, I got 3 different places you can find me on Facebook alone. Instagram has got at least 2, and then here. You know, if you have ideas, let me know. But definitely give this a try. Next week, I don't know what we're going to do for dinner, but I am going to try to put out, I know for sure 1 extra video, but potentially 2. And the extra video, the 1 extra video is going to be on roasting a turkey, but it's going to be on doing a saltwater brine for a turkey. And what all, I found a recipe that actually closely mimics what we already do for our turkey here. So I thought we'd go ahead and run with that one, all the different things you put in your brine to give it a good solid flavor, you know, and then how to cook it afterwards, and we'll try it out and taste it. That way, if you want to try something different for Thanksgiving, it'll be there for you. That should be coming out hopefully this weekend. And then enchilada sauce that I made a while back. The enchiladas that I made a while back that I made the sauce for. I had somebody else ask about the sauce recipe, and it is a phenomenal sauce. And it goes well with anything that is Tex-Mex or Mexican, basically. If you want to make a good Mexican rice, that's a good sauce to use for it. Which I have a video recipe for Mexican rice, but I would just as easily use this enchilada sauce versus the sauce I make for it. And so we're gonna do a video on that. I'm trying to probably have to go to a different town, get dried New Mexico chili peppers. I could use others, but I'd much rather use those. That's what I used last time, and that's what I really liked in them. But anyhow, give this a try. till next week for turkey or sauce or dinner or dessert, and maybe not in that order, I love you. I love you very much, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else you love them and that you love them very much. They may need to hear it. It's gonna make them feel, it's gonna make them smile either way it goes. It's gonna make you feel really good to tell them that. And speaking of that, thank you for all the well wishes for everything that I'm going through kind of behind the scenes. And I will keep people updated for sure. I couldn't ask for more wonderful friends and neighbors here on YouTube. And that means the world to me. You have no idea. But make some of this tiramisu cheesecake no bake style. What? And I guarantee you'll have friends for life. Probably need another cup of espresso to go with this. Neighbors are going to come over and never leave. Invite an old friend over to try it. So anyhow, till next week or next video, either way, I love you and I'll see you then. All right? Bye-bye.